welcome. This is Nyla's Knitting Nook. My name is Náyla, and this is a knitting podcast. Thank you for joining me today. If you are a new viewer or returning, I appreciate you spending your time with me. I have been knitting since I was about 10 or 11, but the last two years, I've started knitting garments. So my whole previous knitting career, I did a lot of accessories, blankets, etc. And then a couple years ago, I watched on YouTube how to crochet sweaters. And once I got those tutorials down, knitting patterns started making sense to me, and I was able to kind of expand, my talent and my knitting world. And I've been going pretty hard with the garments since then. Speaking of garments, we have a couple of finished objects for you today. One was started in my last video, and the other, did I have a swatch? I don't even think I had a swatch, but I mentioned that it was on my list of things to do. They are both test knits. I've only been test knitting since May of 2023, but I have enjoyed it. It has kind of given me, I would say I'm a pretty monogamous knitter, but I'm also a procrastinator. So I'm a procrastinator, and I'm also a product knitter. So I do knit because I enjoy the process, but most often I want the thing. And so I can become single-minded and work on a project till it's done pretty much. But also test knitting has given me deadlines to work within. And so, that allows me to produce something, to actually have a date to look forward to, or or commitment, I guess. You need to for sure have this done, by a certain time. So it doesn't allow my procrastination to come in and throw me off course or get super distracted. Not to say that I don't do other things while I'm working on a test, but yeah, I enjoy test knitting. I think these are my last two test knits. Is that true? No, it's not true. So it is now January. I filmed my last video in December, the first week of December, and then I realized when I went to edit that there were some issues, so I had to refilm parts of it. But yeah, it is now January, so Happy New Year. Let me go back from when I recorded. I think it was after Thanksgiving. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy all the holidays, and Happy New Year. But yeah, I think what I was trying to say is that these two finished objects that I have that are test knits, I signed up for both of those before the year was over. And the first one is the Front Porch Pullover by Andrea Gaun. I still haven't learned how to say her last name. My apologies. And the yarn for this was sponsored, partially sponsored, whatever you want to call it. I received a discount to purchase from Knitting for Olive, and I purchased the merino and the soft silk mohair in the color Deep Petroleum Blue. I showed you guys last time my swatch. And when I did the swatch, as I'm finding more and more often, I do the swatch bang on gauge. I make the actual project, and somehow, somewhere, my gauge is off. So anyway, let's get into it. This is my Front Porch Pullover. She's a beaut. It is a drop shoulder construction, and you go top down. So you start on the back panels, I believe, and then you join for the shoulders, knit to a certain length, and then you split for sleeves and do, well, I don't know if it's called split for sleeves, but then you just do the body and then you pick up your sleeves and do your sleeves in the round. Andrea has designed this with 10 inches of positive ease. The bust measurements go from 30 inches to 66 inches. It's meant to be a DK weight pattern, so you can hold one strand of DK weight together. I mean, one strand of DK weight by itself, or you can do like she suggested and hold fingering and mohair together. I'm doing size E, which is the 5th size, and that corresponds to a 46-inch bust. My actual bust is like, depending on the day and the bra, 44 to 45 inches. So I thought that was perfect for me. And here's where I say, like, I don't know if my gauge really met the pattern, or at least originally it did, but somewhere, somehow, I don't know. I don't think I really have 10 inches of ease when I wear this. And also, when I was doing the lengths, I initially was going to do the cropped length, which I think was supposed to be something like 7 inches after the 7 inches for the body before you start the ribbing. But when I got to that point, the number of rows that should equate to 7 inches, it felt super short. And so I kept going to the standard length, which I don't remember how long that was supposed to be. But after I finished the garment in full and blocked it and everything, it didn't even meet the standard length. So I think my stitch gauge was accurate, but my row gauge somehow ended up off. But that's okay. I think I don't want to mess up the mic, so I think I have a video. If not, I will make a video of me trying it on. But some of the other details, other than the drop shoulder sleeve, which this is my first, for a non-seamed garment, this is my first drop shoulder. I think that my very first sweater is the, I'm looking at it over there in the pile, is the Sunday brunch cardigan, not cardigan, Sunday brunch sweater pullover by Kudavakika, Veronica Lindbergh, and that is knit flat in panels and then seamed. I think that technically is a drop shoulder as well, but this is my first seamless drop shoulder. And it has twisted rib on the on all the ribbing. So the sleeves, the hem, and the neckline. Which twisted rib, it's a little bit annoying, but it's also really pretty. It looks more to me like compared to regular rib, it kind of looks like a braid. Very pretty, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I like it. And yeah, it's still kind of cropped on me. I have worn this, when did I start it? Hold on. Okay, so this was due January 7th. And I did make it on time. I think I actually finished it a few days before. So the test period ran from October 15th to January 7th. The body is knit on 4mm needles, the ribbing on 3.25. The gauge was supposed to be 21 stitches and 28 rows, but I think I ended up with, did I put it in here? Yeah, my row gauge ended up being 34 rows in 4 inches, not 28. So I think that's where I messed up. But, you know, it's still a good fit to me. And I think the only thing that would affect in the pattern is maybe, like, I ended up with, originally I ordered enough yarn. I think I had I ordered 6 skeins of the merino and 7 skeins of the mohair, intending to do the cropped length for size E. And that was exactly, you know, what she stated you would need. But I ended up with 1 each unopened skein, and I have this much left from my last 2 So my 5th skein of merino and my 6th skein of mohair, this is what I have left, and then I have a whole set untouched. So the only thing I think with being off gauge is that I didn't use as much yarn as was called for, but you know, that's okay. I'd rather have too much than too little. And technically I could have kept going with the length if I wanted to be longer, but I was comfortable with where it was hitting. Yes, I cast it on December 1st and I finished it December 30th. So it took me exactly a month pretty much to make it. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I can say. This is my second project holding 2 yarns together. The first was my Kalani blouse, and that was sock yarn and Surrey. And this is fingering merino and mohair. The mohair, I don't think it bothers me as much as I thought it would. I get pretty hot easily, like sweaty hot. And so sometimes when I'm sweating, like fabrics can irritate my skin. But I've worn this to the office and then just out casually, and I didn't really have any issues. But I did have on like a camisole when I wore it underneath, but you know, it was like a scoop neck camisole, so I didn't have a lot of skin coverage with that camisole. But I only wore that because when I was knitting this project up, I had some color transfer. So on my fingers, I was getting like blue dye on my fingers. And then also in my project bag where I was keeping the yarn, and like, you know, when you're working with yarn out of a project bag, you kind of like pull the yarn to get like, you know, loose tension to keep knitting. And like the edge of the project bag where that yarn was like hitting as it was sliding out of the bag, it got like lines of blue dye in my nice petite knit project bag. Love that. I did just throw that in the wash and it kind of came out, but I think I need to do one more wash with it inside out. And hopefully that will resolve that. I did email the Knitting for Olive team to ask them if that was normal, because I have used Knitting for Olive before, the merino, but that was a lighter color, the Wild Berries shade for my tangent top. And I didn't have any color transfer when I worked with that. So I was like, is it because it's darker colors? Is it because of the mohair? Or is it just normal? And they emailed me back to say like that can happen with darker colors, but you know, once you block it, it'll be fine. So when I blocked it, I did see a little color bleed out, you know, in the water, but not a lot. And then I haven't really seen any color transfer after, but the camisole I wore was black. So I'm like, I'm not going to mess up my white camisole if there is color transfer. But I haven't seen anything else on my skin or anything like that since I blocked it. But yeah, it has good like drape. I really like it. I think I would like to do another a little bit longer and with like a split hem. I think that would be cool. And then a lot of the testers had really good colorways that they knit theirs in. So it's kind of a standard pattern, a simple classic pattern. There are decreases on the arm. Oh, that's the other thing that happened. So the body, like I said, is knit on 4mm and the ribbing on 3.25. I did my first sleeve perfectly, and then I went to do my second sleeve, and I got up maybe to like the third decrease or something, like a quarter of the way through the sleeve. And then I realized I was on the 3.25 needles. I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Because I've done that before on the wrong side. But I know it happens to people. Even Marlene knits, I think for her Kalani blouse that we both test knitted, her sleeve, or one of her recent projects, maybe it's her stick season, I don't know. But her sleeve was also done on the wrong needle size. But I think she left hers, but I could clearly see the difference in the size of the arm, like when, laying them flat against each other at the same points. Yeah, so like here now, they're the same size, so you can't really see if anything's off. But when I had the other sleeve, you could clearly see this one was like a whole like inch, an inch less in width, and it was just gonna get smaller and smaller. And then I was realizing too, like, because I thought for a minute, maybe I'll just keep going. But not only would one sleeve be tighter than the other, it would have taken me a lot longer to get the same length in both sleeves, especially since my row gauge was off. It would have taken me a while to get the same length, meaning I would have used more yarn for one sleeve than the other. And then I was doing the decreases at the same rate as the first sleeve. So in general, they just wouldn't be a match. So it's like, okay, I'm going to put on my big knitter panties and just frog it. So I frogged it, and I was able to, get the other sleeve knitted back up. Let me see when that happened. Yeah, I was like at the finish line. So I think on the 28th, I was on, so the sleeve is supposed to be like 60 something rows. I was on like the 20th row, so a third of the way through, and I realized it was off. So I frogged it that night, cast it back on, and then I was able to get the sleeve finished the next day. And then all the final, accoutrements and blocking I did on the 30th. But yeah, that is my front porch pullover. I'm very pleased with that test knit. Again, I'm not sure of the exact release date, but the test did wrap up on the 7th. I provided her with my feedback and everything. So I'm excited to see when that releases. She usually does like a tester roundup or highlights. I think maybe on her IG, but for sure on her like website and via her, I think she has a newsletter. So definitely sign up for her newsletter if you're interested in any of her patterns or seeing, options from the testers, my pictures, anything like that. But yeah, it was a good test, and I do like the Knitting for Olive yarn. Excuse me. The merino is not super washed, so it's not like the softest merino I've ever felt, but it's pretty decent, and it does make a good fabric. So I will use that again. Okay. And then the next project that I have is also a test knit. Okay. This is the Typical Vest, a test knit for Tiffany Lou of Typical Bliss. This is a V-neck button vest, and it has these nice little pockets. My first time doing pockets ever, with just 1x1 ribbing on both the armholes and the hem, and then it has a double knit button band. You can see that double knit button band. Yes, so this is a DK weight pattern. It's meant to have 4 inches of positive ease, and the bust sizes go from 35 inches to 62 inches. That's finished bust size, so it includes the ease. I am doing the size XXL, 2X, or the 6 sides in the pattern, which corresponds to, it gives a final size of 51-inch bust. I'm using, do I have a skein here? I don't know where, oh, I don't have any skeins. Well, I have extra because I actually, so this is Drops Charisma. This is obviously not the color, but it's the same yarn. Drops Charisma, which is superwash treated wool. So it's 100% wool, 50 grams, 100 meters, or 109 yards. But the color I used is color 82, which I think is called maroon. Here's my swatch. I find this yarn really interesting because it almost seems like a little rustic in the skein, or like, I wouldn't say that it's soft in the skein, but, and it's not really splitty. So I don't know, something about the texture of it. I enjoy knitting it. It almost, I don't want to say it feels kind of acrylic-y, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. But when you wash it, it's almost like a totally different, it feels like a totally different yarn, totally different fabric. It gets softer. Yeah, I really like it. Yes, so this test knit, let me see what I can say about it. She sent us a test knit December, the pattern December 4th, and didn't give an exact deadline. She just told us that she would check in about 6 weeks from when she sent out the pattern. So that puts us at today, actually, yesterday, the 15th. Tiffany has been like a little bit sick over the last month, so she hasn't been like, I don't know, super active, I would say, but not in a bad way. And I think it's understandable when you are going through, an illness or a period of feeling unwell. You do have to kind of take a step back, but she did, like, if anybody had questions, she did make sure to answer it. And then I think everybody in the tester group also has been very helpful in like giving each other feedback, or like if somebody has experience doing a technique and somebody else is a little unsure, they have no problem like, clarifying something for someone. And even I had like questions about the button band, because I have done on an unfinished project, a UFO, I did a button band using Handmade by Florence tutorial on her YouTube page, but I don't think that I did buttonholes for that one. But I just wasn't sure about like how to place the buttonholes, like how to space out, where to do it. And the pattern did have information on that, but it took like a couple times reading through for me to like understand, since it was my first time, and somebody in the tester group like was able to clarify further, and then that kind of made it like click for me. And then just the other day, I've now finished mine, and somebody else who's just now getting to that part kind of had the same question. And so from what the last person was able to tell me, and me now having done it, I was able to like help clarify even further for them. And I let them know, I don't know if they're doing the same size as I am, but I did let them know like how my stitch count worked out and like how I was able to place it. And I sent like a picture of like where I placed my markers and everything. And so I think that was able to help someone. So that's one of the things I love about testing, is that it is a collaboration, and, everybody's looking to help, the other person. We all just want to make a good project, and nobody is like gatekeeping information or anything. It really is just, I help you, you help me, we all help the designer. Beautiful knits. But yeah, anyway, this was knit on 5mm needles. I like that so the body is knit on 5mm. The ribbing here is knit on 4.5mm, as is the button band. But the ribbing on the body is actually, you just continue in the 5mm needles. And I get like for most sweaters, you want to go down a size for the ribbing because it kind of cinches the waist in, but I don't think that Tiffany was looking for that. She was kind of looking for the ribbing to stay loose. So I enjoyed not having to switch out my needles like just to finish the body. I just kept going. I was like, oh, what is this new experience? But yeah, that was cool. And then also it took me a couple days after I finished the body and everything to add on the pockets. And I think that was just a little bit of my procrastination. I've never added pockets before. I don't think that she had like a link to a video of how to sew on the pockets in the pattern. I will actually make that suggestion when I give her feedback. But I just looked up I looked up on YouTube and I found a video from Kadri, the designer, for her grandpa cardigan, where she put pockets onto a cardigan in this exact fashion. And so, you know, the pattern instructions given by Tiffany do say to mattress seam, which I have mattress seam something before, but I'm a visual person, so I like to just see the instructions just to make sure that I'm doing something correctly. So that little tutorial from Kadri was very helpful. And I will link that below in case you're looking for some how-to pocket things. But it's basically you just knit I just knit a rectangle according to Tiffany's instructions. And then Tiffany did provide exactly like how many stitches away from the button band you should start to join it. And then the video, it showed like you join here, and then you match your seam across this way, and then you go up, and then you come back to this side and go up as well. So it was actually much simpler than I was making it out to be in my head, and I think I did it in an evening. I was also waffling about whether or not to block the whole thing, including the squares, before I attached it. And someone in the tester group did recommend that. But by the time they recommended it, I had already attached the pockets. So I didn't block it first. I blocked it after everything was already done. But it worked out. I really love this colorway. I'm going to be gifting this to my grandmother. She asked me in May for a vest. And then when I saw this test knit, I was like, oh, perfect time. Because I hadn't yet found a vest that would, I hadn't yet looked up any vests. So when I saw the test knit, I'm like, this perfect chance to test for Tiffany. And if I get accepted into test, that means it's meant to be. And, you know, so my grandmother would get this. I went yesterday to my one of my local yarn stores, this one in Montclair, to find some buttons. And I did find these beautiful buttons. I don't know if they're coming off good, but I just got 4 of them. But yeah, and it was also nice while I was in there. One of the store, I think she's one of the owners, Amanda. She was helping one lady that was kind of sitting at the table in the back. She wanted to check if she had made a mistake in her project or not, but you know, so Amanda was helping her, and then somebody else came in to shop, so she helped them, and then 2 more ladies came in. They were a bit older, and they were like, oh, we recently retired, and we're teaching ourselves how to knit. Is there someone who can help us? And then the lady sitting at the table was like, oh, yeah, Amanda will help. But Amanda was, attending to somebody else, and they were like, oh, are you a knitter? Do you have experience? And I'm like, I had my project laid flat out on the table, as I was like comparing different button options, and I had to I did answer them. It went quicker than this, but I was thinking about how and I had just seen a post earlier in the day on Instagram about what is the point that you are no longer a beginner at something, particularly knitting, and how it just made me think about you know, you don't always acknowledge like your progress in something and that you are experienced or knowledgeable about something. You kind of like downplay. I think the post was saying like, what's the, you know, what's the thing that like you made your first sweater, but then did you change, you know, making your first sweater to doing color work or doing brioche, or like we always push the line further of like, when will we have quote unquote experience, or when will we be an advanced knitter or something like that. And you know, I've definitely done a lot over the last few years that have grown my skills, so it's okay to acknowledge that, you know, I have experience, that I am a talented and skilled knitter. So yeah, it was cool kind of having like that moment. And I actually was able to help those knitters. They were kind of getting like their pearls and their knits mixed up. And I'm like, oh no, just hold your yarn in front for the pearl. And like they were asking questions on the book, what's knitting in the round? What's knitting flat? And then I was even able to show them like, compared to my project, like, you know, they were doing what they thought they were doing correctly. So, you know, kind of reassuring them. And yeah, it was just a sweet moment. And I do love Yarnia. I've been there several times before. I was also laughing at myself because this is the one and only time that I've ever gone into any yarn or craft store and come out with just one thing and have that one thing be the thing that I actually intended to go there for. Every time I go to a store, I get something that I either didn't intend to buy or don't need, or like I got the thing I needed plus extra. So I stuck to just the buttons this time. But yeah, it's been a great test. I will let you know when the pattern is released. I think I ended up using 9 skeins of the Drops Charisma. And so I just finished this. Today's the 16th. I added the pockets on the 12th, blocked it after that, and then I added the buttons yesterday. And then my mom, she sewed this handmade tag on for me. Yeah, so I'm excited to give that to my grandma. I think I just need to take like a couple more pictures and maybe like a video. I also need to do a couple more measurements because I'm not sure what the like feedback form will require. And also shout out to Ribsy, who complimented my tension on the project, which was nice to hear because when I was making it, I was actually worried that my pearls were feeling a little tight compared to the knit rows. The knit rows felt like very loose and like easy to go. Maybe that's just because knitting is easier than pearls. I don't know. But the pearls felt tight, so I was a little worried that it might row out. But I do think it came out, you know, very well. And I think that I would like to like do this, but a cardigan, because the only thing that would be different is when you pick up the stitches for the armholes, you just do stockinette sleeves instead of the ribbing. It might be like a deep armhole for a sleeve, but I don't know. But I think doing this made me less intimidated to do a cardigan. Yeah. So cardigans in my future, whether it be this pattern or I think I do want to do the Darling cardigan by Kudavakika, Veronica Lindbergh. So we'll see about that. Okay. The other finished objects that I have, I said I only had 2, but that was 2 here. I also did a ribbed hat for my grandpa. I think I have a picture of him wearing it. But this was a hat that I cast on probably like December 2021 or like sometime in 2022. I don't know. I think 2022. A ribbed hat. I think it was the yarn was um Joanne's Big Twist Gentle in kind of like a charcoal gray color. Um and I don't know if I had a pattern when I started that. But it was just a 1x1 ribbed beanie. And it was sitting with the needles on still in a basket somewhere for over a year. And it was just like at the point where decreases needed to be started. I think I had, okay, that's what happened. I think I did start decreases. And this is why I don't think that I had a pattern, because the decreases that I had, it was like it ended up being all stockinette. And so I think that's why I ended up not finishing at the time, because I couldn't figure out how to do decreases and keep them in the 1x1 pattern. And so it just sat forever. But I, in the period of like, trying to do Christmas stuff and like, oh, do I have a gift for them? Do I have a gift for them? Oh, I want to send something here. My grandfather has been going through a little bit of health stuff. And so I wanted to just say, I'm thinking of you. And when I found that, I'm like, oh, perfect. This, I can finish this. And then he will have something handmade by me. Because my aunt, when she went to visit him a couple of months ago, she was wearing her Montpellier top that I made her for her birthday in August. And he's like, oh, I need one of those. And he was 100% serious. I'm like, well, that's a woman's top, but whatever, I can make you one. To the point where he even let her like get his measurements so that I can make one. But I obviously didn't have time to make that before Christmas. So I'm like, I would finish off this hat for him. So I actually ended up counting off my stitches. Turns out I had 108 stitches, I believe, which is the exact amount of stitches that's in one of the sizes for the Pearl Soho classic ribbed hat. So I was like, oh, chef's kiss. And I just did the decreases according to that pattern. And then it was done. I think that, that pattern, I'm going to make more. It's easy, especially now that, whatever I did in the past time where I cast that on, I don't know if I made it up myself or if I saw something on YouTube or whatever. I don't think I was aware of Pearl Soho back then, but it's so funny that it turned out to be exactly the same pretty much. But now I know that I could definitely use that pattern now for any hats or gifts. So yes, that ribbed hat, that was similar to the classic ribs hat from Pearl Soho. And then I also had, I needed to do a gift for my friend's white elephant for her Christmas party. And so I made a Hannah hat in this Drops Charisma that I had. I think it takes like 2 to 3 skeins. I want to say 3 skeins for that. For the white elephant, and that I had to finish that by December 9th. I think I blocked it on the 8th, and on the 9th when I went to the party, it was like still a little bit damp. And it was funny that my friend actually ended up picking my gift. So now she has a Knits by Náyla original. And it's funny because she didn't even realize until after the party that I made it by hand. And so then she texted me like, oh my God, I just realized that you made this. It's beautiful. I'm like, oh, thank you. But yeah, so I made that. And then again, Christmas, I mentioned last time I wanted to do something for my sister. And like one of the weekends I was in bed. I wanted to do gloves for her. But what I was thinking of doing was kind of like a fisherman's rib glove. But I didn't have an exact pattern that I wanted to follow, and I didn't feel like the thought involved with like trying to come up with something. And then I remembered I had the penny glove pattern by Petite Knit. Laura Penrose did a lot of penny gloves last Christmas. And then also I was cleaning up some of my yarn notions and tools and yarn and stuff. And I found some double pointed needles. Now, the double pointed needles did not still have the packaging, so I'm not even sure if they were the needle size that was called for in the pattern. And I also am not sure that this Drops Charisma is the yarn size that was called for in the pattern, but I was like, I'm just gonna try it. I did use like those needle gauge things, and it was kind of measuring to be, I think it was 3 millimeters, but it could be 3.25. I'm not sure. So I cast on the penny gloves, and it took me, I think the first one took like 6 hours. So I made that one day, and then a couple days later, I think I finished it like a day and a half, or day before Christmas, because I blocked it, I think, Christmas Eve, and then we went over for Christmas again, slightly damp. But yeah, the only thing I will say is because I did not gauge swatch or anything, and I didn't even really check the gauge, on the finished object, there was like, when I tried it on, and my forearm is bigger than, I'm obviously plus size. My sister is not plus size. So my forearm is bigger than hers. And then when I tried it on, I think I might have a picture. There was like just a little bit of bunching around here, like not on the hand per se, but like where your wrist would bend. There was just like a little bit of extra fabric there. And it kind of made me think like maybe there were too many increases, like when you're expanding to make the thumb hole, maybe there was too many increases there. But again, I didn't check the gauge or anything, and it did fit in general. And I think that the I cord at the bottom and the I cord around the fingers and stuff, like it's not going to slide off of her hand or anything. And when she tried it on at Christmas, she had long sleeves on, and so it was staying okay. And I think like when you're bundled up in like your winter coat and your long sleeves and everything, I think it'll be fine. But I told her if it doesn't feel good, I'll make her another one. But yeah, I think it came out really cute, and it got me excited about gloves. And so I need to just like, I don't know if I want to continue on the double pointed needles. I might need to get like fixed ChiaoGoo needles on, with a super long cord so that I can do magic loop. But TBD, I'm not that invested yet. Oops, we'll see. But in combination with that, I finished the gloves, and I was like, one more Hannah hat. And so I made an exact copy of my white elephant one, in the same Drops Charisma color 77 light oak. So we now have 2 Hannah hats in this yarn and the penny gloves in this yarn. So the Hannah hats were identical. Well, actually, were they? I forget which. Hold on, let me see which sizes I made, because I might have done one medium and one large. Let me see. Oh, nope, both size large. Okay. Maybe, I don't know, because I feel like I did one different decrease from I think the white elephant one might have been medium, but I wrote down large. I don't know, but either way, it's okay. Yeah, so those I think are all my finished objects. Yes, the front porch pullover, the typical vest, penny gloves, and 2 Hannah hats. Yes, okay. Then we have whips. At some point, when was it? Oh, December 7th, I needed kind of a mindless project. And also I've been trying to use up some of the older yarn in my stash. So I cast on a Sophie shawl. And this is, I feel fancy because it kind of looks like Let Lopi, or not Let Lopi, Plutalopi, that all the people use, the fancy knitters or whatever, but it's not. This is Karen Cake's Cloud. Karen Cloud Cakes in the color Very Vanilla. I had 3 of these in stash. I actually just gave 2 of them to my mom to crochet something with. She's making a blanket in a cool stitch, and I think I'm actually gonna claim the project for myself and take it to be my office shawl, but we'll see. I gotta finish this out so that she can have the rest of this yarn. I'm doing the size large of the Sophie shawl, but I did not swatch for this, and I don't think that I am meeting gauge, because from the pictures the large is like really large, and maybe I just need to block it because I am at I've started my decreases, which is the point. Yeah, see if you can see that. Yeah, so here's my highest point, I think, and I've started my decreases here. Maybe it looks better this way. But yeah, my widest point doesn't seem like as big. It almost seems like I feel like I have like a lot more length than I have width. But I was just looking to have something to do, not necessarily to meet gauge. I don't think that this yarn, I don't know if this yarn meet gauges, but I'm using 4.5. I think, where's the writing? Oh, there it is. Oh no, not 4.5. This is 4 millimeters needles. Let me see if I have the ball band, if it says. The ball band says this is medium weight 4, which is, I think is supposed to be worsted weight, but this kind of feels like DK to me, so that might be why it's smaller. And also why it's smaller. This recommends 4.5 millimeters, but I'm using 4. Let me check the pattern. I think, did the pattern, there must have been a reason why I went with 4 millimeters. Maybe that's just the needles that I had available. Oh no, the pattern says 5 millimeters. So I don't know why I went with 4. But yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. It'll be, if it's not going to be a shawl, it'll be a scarf. And I do really like this cloud yarn. It's very soft. It's kind of like fleecy. Yeah. So this will be I think it can be my movie project. Although I did go to the movies this past Friday and I didn't take it, but I went to an action movie. So I didn't think, like action movies, you're usually like fully absorbed. So I didn't think I needed a project there. But yeah, that's my first whip. My next whip is in my birthday bag. This is the 6-Day Star Blanket by Betty McKnitt. One of my aunt's friends sent me a TikTok and was like, can you do this? And it was somebody doing the 6-Day Star Blanket. And I'm like, yeah, okay. At first, I didn't tell her if I could or not. because I haven't done anything like this before. So I'm like, let me test it out. She told me what kind of colors she would like if I was able to do it. And then I was in Michael's one day. I'm looking for one with a ball band. Oh, it does have. It's just coming off. Yeah, I was in Michael's one day and they were having their buy one, get one 50% off yarn sale or something like that. And I saw these Karen tea cakes. And this is the color Storm. And she said she wanted like grays, charcoals, and blacks. And this cake is all those different shades of gray. And so since it was on sale, I just grabbed what they had and I'm like, let me try it and then I'll tell her yes. And so I found the 6-Day Star tutorial on YouTube and I tried it. And so here's where I am so far. It is kind of like ruffling a little bit. I'm hoping that it like blocks out. In the tutorial, she did mention like if you start to see any curling, go up a hook size. And I did go up one hook size already, but that's the largest hook I have. So it is what it is. And then I added in some Wool Ease Thick and Quick in just a black color. So on the inside of the pattern, she did recommend like at the start of the star that you don't have any color changes, like in like the first 8 rows or something. Like each row should be a solid color. And so I did do that, and I had, in order to stick with that, like when the grays started to shift, I did have to cut the yarn and like reattach from a different point in the skein to keep the color the same for that row. But when I ended with that first skein, then I just added I think this is like 3 rows of the black yarn, and then from there I reattached the grays, and then I'm just gonna like do a gray until the skein runs out, and then do black couple rows, do gray till the skein runs out, do black couple rows. She wants it to fit a queen size bed, so we'll see how long that takes me. I only bought 2 skeins of the black, so I think I will need at least like 1 to 2 more of the black. And then for the gray, I have 6 skeins total, so I'm hoping that's enough for that. Okay, my next test knit is, not my next test knit. My next whip is a test knit for Brianna Mason of Woolbird on Instagram. And this is the Bora pullover. Here's my swatch. I'm using Knit Picks Wonder Fluff. And do I have the color? Let me see. Oh, duh. Oh, it doesn't say the color name, but the color is ZV04, and I ordered this from Knit Picks. I actually really like Knit Picks and their customer service, because when I placed my order originally, which it's also this kind of a part of my acquisitions, at the same time I ordered this, I ordered Knit Picks Palette and Knit Picks Aloft. I don't have those 2 with me here today, but 2 skeins were missing from my original order, and I just called them up on customer service, and they the same day issued me a replacement order, and it was delivered like that same week. So this is a bulky weight yarn, Wonder Fluff, and I don't know if it's technically considered a blown yarn. I would say it's similar to Drops Air, but I feel like Drops Air has more of a casing on it than this Wonder Fluff. Like the end of the Wonder Fluff almost seems like, yeah, it can just pull apart basically. But it is super soft. As I'm working it up, I'm kind of like, is this gonna pill a lot? Because it's so soft that like you know, I think you can see the fluff, the floof, the halo that it has. And I just feel like the more friction that comes across it, the more it's gonna like pill. But this color is very pretty. It's an icy blue kind of color. It's similar to a yarn that I have from Baby Cat yarns. But this is 70% baby alpaca, 23% nylon, and 7% merino wool. Yes, so the Bora pullover, it's meant to be on, I think, a bulky weight. So she did suggest in the pattern Wonder Fluff, as well as like, I think you could use Drops Air, but she had lots of suggestions in the pattern. It's knit on 4mm needles for, well, you only cast on the 4mm needles. Then you do your neckline in 4.5mm, and then you switch to 5mm for the body. This is due on February 3rd, and so far I have my neck ribbing done, and I am working on the yoke. So this is a circular yoke construction, so there's no raglan. Oops, was I hitting the mic? Sorry. There's no raglan stitches. It's all done with right leaning increases, which is different from the raglan. With a raglan, well, you can, I have done my Erin Gallant by Kadri that uses right and left leaning increases, but at the traditional raglan areas, whereas this is only using right leaning increases and in a circular pattern, so you're not going to have those two distinct like shoulder lines. And I want to say this is my first circular yoke pattern. It does have short row shaping in the back, so right now the back, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but you can kind of see how the front drops down because the back is longer than the front. This is a 17 stitch by 25 row gauge, and my swatch was bang on for gauge. We will see what happens in the final because I keep having the issue of, you know, swatch and finished project being different. But yeah, I think I have like 4 more increase rows to go. So right now we're doing increases, then you knit 5 rows in between, and then another increase round. So hopefully I can finish up the yoke today, but we'll see. It kind of looks a little weird right now, but I've done like a little bit of a try on, and I like where it's going. I think this will be a very, this will be a very cool color for winter. And again, it's super soft. I think it will be warm, but I'm curious to see how this finishes out as a project. I do have my my Erin Gallant is in Drops Air, so I think that this will be a similar feel, and that project is very lightweight and airy, but still warm. I don't have to wear any other layers when I wear that. And I think this will have like very long sleeves and then a split hem. So I'm excited for this test knit. I have another, no, I don't have another month. I have like 2 to 3 weeks, I think, to finish this. So wish me luck. I'm already where I am so far. I started my second skein last night. This is what I have left in my second skein. So I'm curious to see how much left will be needed for this project. We do have an Instagram test knit group, but it's only like 3 people in it. I guess most of the testers didn't elect to be in the tester group. It's fluff. but that's okay. Brianna is very responsive, and even like when I started, I did all the short row shaping, and then I started my um, yoke, and she has instructions that say like every increased row is supposed to be increased by a certain number of stitches. But when I followed the instructions for the first round, I was not getting like the final stitch count correct. And I'm like, I think I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not sure. And so I just messaged in the group and I asked her, and she got back to me like within the hour to clarify. And I'm like, okay, great, that works, that makes sense, I'll do that. And not only did like she didn't leave it just for me to like remember that that was the instruction and proceed in that manner, but she actually like updated the PDF and like immediately sent me a new copy to work from, which I thought was really great because that like leaves no opportunity for me to make future mistakes. And like I don't have to rely on myself to remember, you know, oh, you're doing this update now. I don't know if I mentioned, the sweater is supposed to have 10 inches of positive ease. The finished bust measurements are 39.25 inches to 73.5 inches. So those measurements include your 10 inches of ease. So this is a size inclusive pattern. I'm doing the size 5, which corresponds to a 55.5 inch bust. So I should have about 10.5 to 11 inches positive ease when I finish. Yeah, and I'm excited for it. Those are all my whips. We can get into a couple of acquisitions. The first that I have, I did the La Mercerie sock swap this year. I did have to rematch because I didn't hear back from my first partner, but my second partner was Kelly. She's also a Jersey girl, and it was nice just getting to like email and interact with other knitters, and I think that's the whole point of the sock swap. And so in the package she sent me, I have a sock set from Sorella, and this is the Jazz in the Park sock set. And these beautiful like greens and browns. There's a little bit of blues, and it kind of, the back almost kind of looks like pinky areas. Yeah, with this nice like verdant green, olive green accent color. And then keeping the green theme, I have Once Upon a Corgi Narnia color on their ginger base. So this is merino nylon and gold stellina. Can you see those gold sparkles? It's pretty. And then she also sent me just a couple of like a lotion, and she sent me some Burt's Bees, which I could actually use now because my lips are a little dry. And she also sent me some hot chocolate, and one of my favorite and most useful things has been this pop socket that she, this pop socket that she gave for my Kindle. Ignore the fingerprints on my Kindle, but can you see it has like little knitting things on it? So little skeins of yarns, scissors, hearts with needles in them. And it's a pop socket for my Kindle. And all the years that I have had my Kindle, I did used to have a case, took my case off, cracked my screen, but I've been without my case for like 2 to 3 years, and I never thought to get a pop socket, and it makes reading so much easier like when I hold it, especially because with knitting so much, my wrist can hurt. And so holding my Kindle up sometimes, it sounds stupid, but it has been, I've used it. I use my Kindle every day. So that was a great and thoughtful gift. And she also gave me some hot chocolate. Okay. Next, I have these barber cords from the Wandering Flock. They call them stitch herders. And I ordered this. They had have a cute like lime green or well, yeah, lime green and like a pale purple color, which I already have some barber cords, but I mentioned previously about kind of wanting to set up a new like notions bag so that I can have more than one set of notions that I can use with my various projects and not have to like always take the same notions bag from project to project to project. I can just have multiple, you know, to easily access things, or like if I'm working on two projects, you know, pretty much at the simultaneously, they can each have their own notions bag without me like, oh, where did I leave this? I have to go get it, you know. I think I ordered something else from them, but I don't remember what it was. I didn't order any yarn. Let me look. I did order something else, but I did not bring it out here. They had like watercolor tie-dye Wandering Flock project bags, and so I ordered this, the barber cords, and one, I think, of the tie-dye project bags, hand-dyed project bags. I think that's already storing yarn, so that will stay where it is. I guess I'll go this one first because it's less crinkly. And then for Christmas, my sister got me this nice corduroy project bag from Willow Bag on Etsy. I sent the same time I sent her the link for the lavender project bag from my birthday. I sent her the link to this one too. I've been looking at this probably for like 6 months and I just never ordered it. And then it kind of totally surprised me on Christmas when she gave this to me. So thanks, Sissy. And again, it has that cool, I love the drawstring bags. It has that cool arm strap. These are handcrafted as well. And it is really good quality. Like even, I don't know if you can see the stitching on the back, but yeah, just really good quality. I like the cool corduroy. I think this is the terracotta color. And I want to say this is the medium size. So yeah, I think for a smaller project, I couldn't fit a whole sweater in here, but like I have yarn in here that I'm intending to maybe do a sock with, a DK sock. So yeah, thank you, Sissy. I also got for Christmas, I didn't bring it in here, I got a couple of lights that hopefully I can use for this podcasting setup. And then this one's going to be noisy. I'm not taking it out of the plastic. Sorry in advance. So this is the Merino DK Superwash Merino, 218 yards in 100 grams. This colorway is Olive Rum, and this is from Ballyhooda. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Ballyhooda Fibers. I think that she is in Ireland. But yeah, she had a pre-order. Let me put it down. She had a pre-order for the Highlands collection, and I actually had wanted to do, she did a collaboration with ZZ Textiles and also Red Door Fiber Studios, and I wanted the colorway from Red Door Fiber Studios, but I missed that pre-order. But I was able to order these. The swatches for these are what really convinced me. And again, I'm getting into my variegated bag. I would have to check my notes for my project plans. Maybe I can do that quickly. Oops, didn't write it down. Okay. Yes, so these are 2 more Olive Rum on the Merino DK, and then 4-ply sock. I got the woolen color, And this is 75/25 superwash merino and nylon on the sock base. So it's 437 yards. And I think that is a really great like neutral color. And maybe that'll be like some kind of t-shirt or tank or something. Sorry. And then I have here a sock set, which, oh, hold on. Okay, I have a sock set here on this side. This is the Orkney and River Spy colorway. I think that'll make a great pair of socks. And then this here is the Pink House, and this is also the 4-ply sock base. And again, I just couldn't resist. I am a pink girl, especially like a mauve-y, muted pink. I love it. Okay, my last acquisition. So I've been holding or gathering kind of like this big box of yarn scraps or yarn leftovers or yarns that I don't really think that I want to work with. Like one of my neighbors previously gave me a bunch of cotton yarn, but it's like fingering. She gave me like a white and a pink color, and while I think I could like hold on to it and maybe make something, it also, I felt like it was okay to let go something that I don't really need right now. And of course all of the like scraps, some of the scraps I use for like my fall pumpkins and etc. But I was kind of holding a box like because, so first reason that I'm holding some of my yarn was I did a donation to a program that is setting up like a knitting program for cancer patients, and that was based in Canada. And so I think, was it a few months ago, maybe November, I mailed out a box of like some of my yarn that was what they were looking for. So they were looking for like softer things, not anything too bulky. They were asking for needle donations. And so I sent a big box out there, and when they got it, they were very appreciative. And, you know, so I've been keeping some yarn if I want to send them more. And then also one of my local yarn stores, they do donations to a senior center, like a, I don't want to say nursing home, but yeah, a senior center. And then the third reason that I've been like thinking about holding some of my scraps is because Knit California went to Ireland on the Irish knitting tour, and they all went to Hedgehog Fibers. And she was saying how Hedgehog Fibers has a recycling program. If you bring yarn scraps in, they will give you a discount to their store or their website. And I think it goes based off of the weight of the yarn scraps that you give, but you could potentially get up to 30% off with them. And so I had a huge box, and I'm like, should I hold all this until I go to Hedgehog Fibers? Which I was thinking about. They're doing the Irish knitting tour again this year, and I was thinking about signing up because I have always wanted to go to Ireland. And how fun would it be to make knitting friends while you're traveling, you know. But when they released the information this time, the dates correspond with one of the weddings that I'm in this year, so I can't swing it. Yes, and then I also wasn't sure if, I think Hedgehog Fibers does also accept the recycled yarn via mail, but you have to mail it at your own cost. And I don't know if I want to spend like $60 in mailing scraps just to get a discount. That would probably be like equate to like a $60 discount. So I'm like, okay, well, the best option for now would just be to donate to the senior center. And so I went to the yarn store, Knit Tapestry in Waldwick, New Jersey, and I dropped off all the different yarn options that I had. And then I've done that like twice before. And every time I do, I can't just like drop it off and leave. I have to look around and like, I don't need anything. I have more than enough yarn, as you've seen. But I couldn't resist. So I was looking around and they carry Holskarn. And so I touched, I typically shop by feel, whatever's the softest. And that always tends to be alpaca blend. So this is 75% baby alpaca and 70% baby alpaca, 20% mulberry silk, and 10% yak. And this is the Haya line in the color Oyster. There's the label, Holskarn Haya. And it's kind of a beautiful beige gray yarn. Excuse me. And I went through a whole like basket that they had of this yarn, and I was trying to like sort out what colors I liked and what colors they had enough skeins of. And so I chose this Oyster. I think I got 5. Yeah, I got 5 skeins. And I'm going to do the Slightly Sassy V by Amy Sher. I was going to say Amy Sher Makes, but I could just say Amy Sher. So I did that. And then while I was in there, I mentioned I want to do DK socks. I did the sock swap with La Mercerie. And so I wanted to get some 9-inch needles that I could do sock knitting on. They had a limited selection of 9-inch there, and I ended up going with these 10-inch needles. And so I got US 1 and US 2, which is 2.25 millimeters and 2.75 millimeters, both on 10-inch cords. And I think we'll see how much the difference 1 inch makes in the circumference. But yeah, I wanted to give these a try. And then eventually I may just do I may get the Chowgoo Shorties set. But yeah, I haven't made up my mind on that. So wish me luck in my sock knitting adventures. I think that is everything. Oh yeah, I mentioned for Christmas I got the lights, and then also one of my sisters gave me a gift card to Sorella yarn, which is interesting because I have a Sorella delivery today. They are like the quickest with the pre-orders. I feel like most of the pre-orders that I order, the turnaround is usually like 8 weeks to 12 weeks. And so that gives me time to like knit stuff and get stuff out of my stash. But Sorella, it's like 4 weeks. So from the time I order to the time it's delivered, I've only done like one thing. Well, maybe that's not true, but it comes much quicker than I always think mentally when I'm ordering it, which is a great thing. But also I have to like chill on the ordering. So I'll just hold on to that gift card until I don't know when, until something else catches my eye. They're doing their greatest hits collection right now, and I'm trying to resist. I think that I'm holding strong because some of the colors in the greatest hits are things that were recently released. So I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a urge for me to get that right now. But yeah. Anyway, what I've been up to, like I mentioned at the start, we had the holidays. My family, we like to go get our own Christmas tree. So we kind of make like a day of it, or morning of it at least. Got hot chocolate and donuts, and we drive up like a little bit up Route 80, maybe about an hour 15. And we go to Glenview Farms, I believe it's called. And we cut down our own Christmas tree. That's always fun. New Year's, we just been at home, chilling and, watching stuff, watching TV. I think my dad was watching football all day, and then I moved to a different room, watched TV with my mom. But yeah, we just had a chill, quiet New Year's. I hope that your New Year's was everything that you hoped it would be. And I hope that you're, looking forward to good things in the upcoming year. I think this year will be a pretty busy year for me. Like I mentioned before, I'm in a couple of weddings. The first one is in April. The second one is in October. I have a cousin getting married in September. Bachelorette party in February. Bachelorette party in August. My grandmother turns 90 at the end of this month, so we're doing a party for her the first weekend in February. I turned 30 this year in November. I did want to take like a trip. I was thinking like Euro yarn trip, but that's not going to happen with an October wedding. But maybe I can do like some kind of like cozy New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania cabin weekend. I think that would be cool. But also, I'm always fine, like on my birthday, just like get a massage, get a facial, spend the day at the spa, eat a good dinner, see a cool movie. So yeah, who knows what that will be. And then the other thing I decided to do this year, last year I went to my first WNBA game. I won tickets at my job to go to the New York Liberty games in Brooklyn. And I've always enjoyed women's sports, but I've never gone to a game, to a WNBA. Well, no, that's not true. I went in the summer when I went to Las Vegas. We went to an Aces game. But yeah, it was cool to see the Liberty, and I actually ended up going like four or 5 times last season. And so this year I decided to do season tickets for myself. So that's cool. And for me, it was kind of like put your money where your mouth is. You always want, other people to support women's sports. So I have to actually show up and support women's sports. And it was, it's something new for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and like go. So like I have to go into the city. I have to go into Brooklyn. I have to interact with other people and just be out of my comfort zone. I was able to go last year a couple times with coworkers. One of the times I won tickets, I brought my dad and my uncle. But yeah, just trying to like expand my horizons and push myself. And one of the games, actually the playoff game, well, the championship game, I actually went to, and I sat by myself and I had a good time. So yeah, I just want to do more of that this year. And so I got the season pass, and so we'll see how that goes. And I think it'll just be really fun and like something to make sure that I leave the house this year, because I work remotely and it can be isolating. Especially like, I go into the office one day a week. I go to the chiropractor every other week. So I really have to like find reasons now to get out of the house. Otherwise, I will stay here, all day, all week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. As far as what I have been reading, I just finished a book last night, Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren. I always love their books. And then right now I'm reading, I think it's called A Cross Country Christmas by Catherine Walsh. So I'm still in my like Christmas romance era. So we'll see how long that will take me. I have like a couple more lined up after that. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. Things that I've been watching lately, it's about to get very like sports themed. But I watched Nyad on Netflix, which is about Diana Nyad, the first, and I think still the only woman to swim from Cuba to Key West. And she did it in her like 60s. That was a very interesting film and, about perseverance. Oh, what was the other thing I watched? Oh, The Swimmers, also on Netflix. And that was about um, girls that had to, Syrian refugees and their journey from like Syria to Germany. And one of the sisters ended up swimming for the Olympics. That was very interesting. And then I watched, Nyad. I watched One Piece on Netflix, that show, which I think is based off anime. I've never watched that anime before, but I liked One Piece. It was interesting. I would watch a second season. It was a little like, I don't want to say childish, but a little childish, but I'm okay with that. You watch some things just to enjoy. And then I also have been catching up on Breakpoint on Netflix, which is their like tennis documentary. I watched season 1 last year, and they just released season 2. And then last night I watched The Farewell with Aquafina. And I'm like, I'm really in my emotions today because that was sad. I thought it was kind of funny, but it was mostly sad. I'm like, wow, I'm really feeling my feelings today. And then I also watched Bill Russell, Legend, on Netflix. And that talked about Bill Russell, the man, the legend. He was not only an NBA like superstar with one of the greatest, team dynasties in the league ever, but he was also, a man who spoke up for what was right and, civil rights, and kind of was an activist. So that was interesting because I didn't know a lot about him before. And then my family and I, we also went to the movies Friday, I think I mentioned, and we saw The Beekeeper with Jason Statham and Felicia Rashad, and that was 10 out of 10. Jason Statham can do no wrong. So if you like action movies, I would recommend that for sure. And then my reality TV, as I've said previously, I'm getting back into Bravo, and I've been catching up on Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm up to I think I just finished the 2020 season. So the end of the season was the start of the pandemic. So yes, that has been going good. I'm kind of almost getting back into why I stopped watching reality TV for a while, because while it is very funny and it is entertaining, some of the things I'm just like, why can't they let this go? I understand reality TV, there's you have to have a show, so there has to be drama for the show. But sometimes I'm like, they make things too intense, and they hold on to something that is small for the whole season, and that is the whole show. And it's like, I would rather know more about your actual lives than you being mad that somebody said this, or you felt like somebody judged you for doing this when the person has said to you they didn't actually judge you for that. And if you felt that way, they're sorry, but you don't let it go for 16 episodes. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. But at the same time, they are fun and funny, and it is kind of cool to see quote unquote, how the other half lives. And I enjoy seeing them travel and stuff, and the fashion. I really like Erica Jane. She's funny and she's straightforward. I did like Teddy, but sometimes I think that she definitely overthinks things, and also at the same time she does try to explain herself or defend people, but then I don't think she says it the right way. So she can be annoying. Kyle sometimes. I think Kyle is definitely my favorite, especially drunk Kyle. But Kyle also can take things really personally when they were not meant to be personal, and then not let it go. And then it's very weird to me. They're always oh, well, you hold me to a different standard as a friend, or you love that friend or treat that friend better than me. And like, I mean, I've gone through things like that in my personal life, but also you let them go. Or if somebody is your friend, you might discuss it and then, you resolve to do better and then you move on. You don't, I don't know, but I also don't have cameras following me to force out of me whether I've moved on or what my real feelings are or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it, but we'll also see how long I last um, with that. But yeah, I think that is it for me. I have some whips to work on. I have the day off today. It is Martin Luther King Day, so happy Martin Luther King Day to everyone. Um, I think now more than ever, it's important to keep in mind like what he stood for and what we all should stand for, and just like, in this crazy world, we should really just be caring for one another. And I don't think that we should be limiting the human rights, the civil rights of other people, and trying, like, you say that you're trying to make people's lives better, but actually you're just trying to control people. I think that's one of the hardest things for me to like digest. And sometimes, like, with everything that you see in the news, it can be overwhelming. So sometimes I kind of have to like drop a wall in front and like tune out of it. And other times you do have to speak up and, stand up or say what you believe so that people know that you stand for something. And I just want, you know, you make your decisions for your own life. I can't judge that. If you're not hurting me, then, who am I to say what you do with your body, what you do with who you love, how you take care of yourself? I think we're all entitled to fresh air, clean water, good food, housing, shelter, and healthcare and education. And why can't we just give that to each other? But anyway, moral of the story, do something kind for someone that you care about, maybe someone that is a stranger to you, and also for yourself. Be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, give yourself grace, stand up for what you believe in, and do what you love. That's it. I'm just here trying to do what I love and live a good life. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts on anything I've shared today, be sure to comment down below, like this video so that I know that you want to see more from me. As I said, hopefully this year I get a little bit better about this filming, editing, posting on a more frequent or consistent base. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this year holds. If you have anything that you worked on during this that you want to share with me, I'd love to see it. Please follow me on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, send me a DM, comment on something, picture a post, whatever. I want to see what you're making, what you're crafting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot this year. Let me know, do you make New Year's goals? I didn't really make any goals, but I think that, everything I just said is pretty much the goal. Doing what I love, getting out of my comfort zone. I think last year, I really was trying to say yes to more things and not just be stuck in my house, stuck in my routine, stuck in the, I'm afraid to try. So yeah, I'm just going to continue that this year, trying. I didn't really make specific goals, but yeah, I'm just trying to chase my joy. So I hope that you do the same. If there's anything that you're struggling with and you want to talk about it, I'm here. But thanks for listening, and I hope that you all have a great day, great week, great month, great year, and I'll see you soon. Bye.